Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of We Shot First, our Saga Edition Star Wars Dawn of Defiance campaign actual play podcast. Now, we dipped into a little bit of trouble. I mean, there were... we've had audio problems. I mean, we've pretty much given up using Zencastr at this point. And there's also been new exciting technology. I'm using Voice Meter Banana now to record, as well as OBS as our video / backup audio. But life got crazy. I mean, it can happen to a podcast. When you try and get 6-8 people together on a bi-weekly schedule, and then at least 4 of them, it can be crazy. I mean, people have families, they have jobs, they have this RL, I believe it's short for them, that like RT, real life things. So the fact that we went strong with multiple, not just one, multiple shows for 2 years straight, I would like to thank my cast and crew for committing to that kind of every Friday, churning out episodes every other Sunday. And it was only this May where I realized how fragile a podcast can be when we could barely scrape 2 or 3 people together for about 5 weeks straight. I know a few of our super fans definitely, they didn't reach out mad. I actually have to have a very special shout out to Doug Baldwin, Ashley Parasquello, who of course is now a rollmonger, Alan J. Jr. Cooper, I got that all backwards. Junior Alan J. Cooper, Coop, as we call him, all reached out concerned, not mad. Hey, where's my episode? Where's my favorite show? You know, because they each like a different show. They were just concerned. Is everything okay? You know, they were like, these super fans have become like extended family. I actually starting to talk to them and message them back and forth about you guys and have input and questions, which we always enjoy. But I digress. Merrick, the last thing you remember was flying. You love to fly, and I'm not talking about a ship. I'm talking about being free-spirited, Superman in the wind, your jetpack holding your large bulk aloft.
Oh, so you're not talking about drugs?
No, flying high. Well,
right.
30,
altitude,
at least 30 feet above the ground, and being in combat. How glorious! Even if it's gladiator or not real battlefield, I mean, this is where you excel. So to have some freaking battle droid knock you out of the sky with a grenade launcher. How do you like it for once? It might have been a little dramatic. You know, you might have hit the ground with more than just your legs broken and your ego bruised, a little bit more. When we dropped you to 0 hit points and you became unconscious and you almost flatlined, there's vague flashes that you see, like dark shadows and people moving you about and something just kind of, you feel your body sort of being lifted, but not by your own power, and you're completely out of it. And this repetitive phone call voice, like, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. And flatlining things and all this stuff. And then you awake to a noise, which first you think is an alarm, but it actually is a heart monitor hooked up to you. And you look over at this heart monitor and all the little wiggly lines go flat. That's not good. Whoever's that's hooked up to is a goner. You look down at the cables and they're hooked up to the chest and the arm of a massively prime specimen. Oh, this is looking up. You know, this is the kind of guy that you might want to befriend. Maybe Dr. Leth has pulled out a new patient. You sit up and realize that you're lying very close to this person. You maybe try and get up and help them, or at least stop that horrible noise, and reach out and sort of see transparency through your own hand and look at a monitor that's hooked up to an unconscious, beat up you.
This is unexpected.
Unexpected indeed. You look around the room. Other sounds on top of that constant buzzing, which is quite loud in your proverbial ear for some reason, are they're there, but they're muted. It's more like a corner of your ghostly eye that you catch Dr. Leth chasing R4 out the door. And they're talking, but their voices seem so far away.
This was bound to happen eventually.
unable to interact with the physical objects around you, what would be your first course of action? Glancing up, seeing no light or tunnel, very cautiously glancing down, seeing no pit opening up beneath you. Sigh of relief, at least one balances the other.
What do you do? This is definitely far from what I expected. I will twiddle my thumbs.
Reaching for your physical thumb, you feel your body. It's almost like there's a sensation of something more tangible than the machine you just tried to reach for, but you're unable to move your actual thumb to twiddle it.
This will get annoying very fast. This is like bullshit.
And I like to try to kick the heart monitor.
Okay, your leg, as it were, passes through. There is a comm speaker in the room, so that when they talk over the comms, Dr. Leth doesn't necessarily have to have something hooked into his ear. He also has something like an audible speaker, like an Amazon, so that he could just talk into the room, or like there's an intercom kind of system, and you hear conversations. You hear Rahal's voice, again, distant, but definitely his, talking about moving the ship. You hear the new guy talking about moving the ship. You hear Dr. Leth demanding things of Arthur directly over the comms. But again, somewhat disjointed.
Dust, this is horrible. I cannot even try properly. Yeah! What is this bullshit? Who's responsible for this? I feel like throttling someone.
Stomping around in your little circle, no one presents themselves. And then it occurs to you, if a physical object can't stop your hand, neither can the door to the exit.
I have no other better choice of action than to go find who is responsible for this.
As you go along, you rack your consciousness, trying to figure out, how did you die? How did you end up on the table? You remember the battle, and you kind of remember explosion, and then, like I said, everything just kind of became shadowy after that. Wandering the ship, it's mostly empty. Finally making your way to the cockpit, and more sort of standing at the bottom of the ladder and looking up and listening to them up there, as opposed to actually like gaining access. It seems like the ship, gonna move. And it does. It literally flies away and leaves you standing on a rock at the top of the gladiator pit. The entire ship just moves away from your body, and you're stuck stranded on top of, if you look down, you just happen to be standing on a rock, one of the many boulders in the gladiator pit.
This is getting to be a level of bullshit that I cannot tolerate.
You look around, you see droids and bulldozing mech moving the rocks, and raking machines sort of making a track around and in, and setting up pylons and hay bales and things, turning the gladiator arena into some sort of miniature terrible farming experiment. I mean, they're not making row upon row to plant crops. This thing's wandering all over the self, doesn't double back across its own path, but it's really weird what's going on.
I believe I have bigger issues to deal with than gardening.
That's true. Let's start by, if by some miracle that you can re-enter your body and live, I believe at the end of the battle I announced that you've all hit 4th level. So let's start with Merrick. Ryan, can you tell us what, if this character gets to be played again, has happened to Merrick? How he's grown? What did you take in levels, talents? Please share.
Oh, well, now that you bring that one up there, a fantastical occurrence has happened during my existential
Mini vacation? oh, sorry. I thought you're 5 weeks away looking after your newborn.
No. But it is, I have contemplated, while sitting upon the frog, about how to shoot things much more better than I have in the past. I have chosen a new feat called Burst Fire. It allows me to shoot many bolts at one target, like auto fire, except not in big area, just in big chests.
So it literally it's a spray and pray, but it's not like an angled 2 squares. You just spray at a guy.
Yes. So there's no more reflex to miss. There's no dodge to negate half. But what it does do is allows me to make an attack upon a person, and if I hit them, I get to do 2 extra dice of damage.
Cool. Any talents or bonus feats pop up, or you don't get a character feat till like 5th?
Yes. I have decided to go back into more of my tactical guerrilla roots and take the ambush specialist trait. which will, at the beginning of a combat, if the certain circumstances have been achieved, I can not target someone as my prime target and get a +2 on attack rolls against them.
Cool. Hit points go up a static amount.
Yes.
Because we are playing Dawn of Defiance campaign, and as a D10, D12, you get 7?
Yes.
Or 8. Static amount.
Yes.
And your base attack goes up?
Yes.
And all of your defenses, the reflex, will, and fortitude save, which now technically have sort of become your armor class and everything else, all go up by 1.
See.
And what are they now?
Reflex 20, Fortitude 18, Will 15.
And the fortitude reflects your threshold, where if you take a massive amount of damage, it can do serious consequences to your condition track, etc., etc., etc.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, you pretty much have it all wrapped up there.
Okay. Dr. Leth, you were in the cockpit, working away on Arthur, catching Haas stretching, not booting, your droid, assuring him that even if the droid goes down, controls of the ship will be returned to him, it's all good. They landed the ship, and Haas left the cockpit. And I'm assuming, having Arthur in a good spot, you just continued to work on him for the last 20 minutes.
Well, this is taking a little bit longer than expected, but yes, I was at this point continue to work on Arthur. It is rather annoying that he would ignore direct orders. I do wonder if perhaps there's a malfunction in the system where perhaps I should work on programming in a gimmick.
Now, we talked about how fast you can hack the droid because you're the owner. What were you currently trying to do? Are you going for some kind of full mind wipe? Or were you going just to kind of tinker in there? What was your initial chase him down with the prongs?
Well, I was going to see if either worst case scenario, I could reset him to the condition he was in when I last purchased him, just erasing the memory up until now. But unfortunately, that would result in quite a bit of research data being lost. I could transfer that over easily enough, but it would take quite a bit of time. It would be much easier to simply find out if there is any change in the code and determine whether or not I can simply arrange or erase that code.
Fair enough. So a diagnostic is where we're going.
At the moment, as I said, running a gimmick.
Okay.
Which is the new talent.
Okay. Well, why don't you talk about your new talents?
Well, the talent I picked up is a talent called Gimmick. Basically, it allows me to do simple programming tasks on any computer or system that I'm connected into as a swift action as opposed to a standard action. I'm much faster when it comes to working at what I do. For example, instead of having to stop and hack a door and then close it that way, I can simply plug into a door, quickly swift action to close it, and then continue on my way.
Oh, okay.
Whereas time would be a little bit annoying before, it is much simpler now. It also leads into some being able... working on my speed allows me to get quite a bit more done in the future.
Go on.
Well, this particular ability would allow me to, for example, check on my programming and double-check my own processes as I go, so that if I perhaps make an error in my first calculations, I can quickly go back. I would then have the time to go back and correct that mistake. I don't have that yet, but this is definitely the first step in the direction.
So it's pretty utilitarian, I guess one could say.
Indeed, I specifically chose something that I had been using quite a bit and would certainly be using in the future.
Okay, I got you.
It's a bit of a shortcoming. I'm also being a bit more involved in the network of hacking and programming. I've met some very interesting compatriots on the HoloNet. Indeed, they've certainly led me to some rather interesting conclusions that I may have to look into in the future.
Go on.
Well, they were all quite the scoundrels, I must say. So, going forward, I realized that, well, with a few simple modifications to my own approaching combat, I could even perhaps find a bit more oomph when I go to fight at closer range, specifically with my pistol.
Ah, and that entitled is the point-blank shot?
Point-blank shot, indeed.
Ah, all right. And our increase as the official level is in...
I've gotten a bit smarter. I've gotten a bit more flexible. I have apparently, seemingly, not that I'm well-versed in the Force, but nevertheless, I seem to be at least getting a bit stronger and feeling it. Unfortunately, Combat-wise, I've been kind of at a computer desk for quite a while. Defensively, I now have a reflex of 22, if that is what you're specifically looking for.
And the rest, everything goes up, 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 up.
Indeed.
Cool. Very cool. So, base attack increase, possibly?
It did not, unfortunately. As I said, when one sits in front of a computer, the best you can do is reevaluate your own combat styles.
Okay, fair enough.
There's no time to practice.
Did we miss anything? Any talents, any hidden bonuses in the new you at 4th level?
Not particularly. I suppose my research grant has come in.
Oh, money.
Indeed.
Money. Yep. If you check the HoloNet, it will be sitting in one of your off galactic shore accounts. You can wire transfer the money.
Sure. Be convenient for some future modifications that may be in store.
Right on. Now, getting back to real time, your medical visor and some of your gear is sort of has an alarm system to it. And it starts, beep, 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 like something going, your pager, everything's going off, like something, something's going on back in the medical bay that needs your immediate attention.
Well, I would return.
Okay. What do you want to do with Arthur? Just kind of leave him half gutted and shut down?
I don't believe he would be of particular assistance to me at this particular moment. So yes, for now I shall leave him.
Okay. So, scooting down, around, and in the left, or shall we say in the business, port side cargo bay, which has been converted to your lab. Also, my add, where we found the secret panel and the auxiliary tanks that are somehow modifying the engine, as well as behind said secret panel, we found our stowaway, Haas.
Yes.
You open the door, Dr. Leth, and oh dear, Merrick is flatlining.
Oh, okay. Immediately begin revivification.
Okay. 300 cc's of crap. Arthur isn't there to hand it to you. And pull out the syringe and get the little bottle of clear liquid that always does the magic trick and pop and the type of thing and hit him with the cc's and the adrenaline and get him going. And you got the chemicals in him, and then you have the automatic defib, which is basically a plastic insulated something you pull off of off the wall and just charges really quick. And as we learned from Frank Hamilton, it actually doesn't shock the heart to start. It tells the brain your heart has stopped and sort of does a sort of a reverse shock, and the brain goes, oh, I should really look after that, and gets the pulse going again. So can I have some medical checks, some life sciences, some first aid comes under what? Well, first aid, I guess.
Revivification is a specific use of treat injury.
There you go. Treat injury is what I'm looking for. Yes, please.
The DC is 20. I got a 32.
Okay. So there's the proverbial instantly awake. Looks around, eyes wide, bloodshot, grabs you by the throat like he blames you for something, and then immediately passes out. As you jab him with, okay, back into the coma you go. Just poof. But after that pause and wondering about suing him for bruising, bip, 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 bip. He seems stable for the moment. Can I have a follow-up check just to make sure that you go through the motions and you can take your 10 at this point, because you're a specialist.
Taking 10 would give me a 23.
Yeah. 10 being the, hey, look, Jeff's nice, he's letting you take 10, as well as making you stay there because taking 10 takes time, just making everything's cool. Mm-hmm. Everything's fine.
Well, I do know at some point I will have to conduct surgery, but I would much prefer to get Arthur back on his feet first.
Fair enough. Haas.
Yes.
Where did we leave Haas and good old Rahal? Trying to make amends with Darga. Some terrible reflex and perception on your point, and then Matt sort of, aha, and the person who was trying to kill Darga was this random slave. Dun, 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 case solved. And you're still wondering, when someone's going to offer you an hors d'oeuvre. I mean, there's some lovely Corellian crab cakes sitting on a silver platter over there.
He'll get his damn hors d'oeuvres when he earns it.
Fair enough.
The way he was flying that ship.
The droid was flying the ship.
Excuses.
Excuses. Haas, would you like to tell us how Well, let's talk about because you've barely played, and the party needs 4th level, and yay, by proxy you go up. We have held Frank Hamilton back in his levels, who just kind of came in here. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna pause you for a second. Frank, yes or no, nod? Did you level? No. Right. No level for Frank, no level for Haas.
Take a couple minutes and do that right now, buddy.
Right, but I'm gonna keep you separate, man, because it's like the party leveled and he was still playing catch up, and I think it was like one more level before he could catch you. So Haas and Frank are proverbially still 3rd. But we have not had a breakdown of Haas, our new pilot. So can you sort of top to bottom? We talked about like your race and yada yada, type of thing. Could you talk about your levels, what you've taken, your build a little bit?
Sure. It's pretty much just a straight dex human to help with piloting. Skill focus and pilot wants to be the super pilot of all pilots. And yeah. And soldier, so combat ready. Just a basic soldier.
The very best.
What was that? Sorry, go again.
That was Mulan, you uncultured swine.
I'm sorry. I actually love that movie, but
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
uncultured swine. It wasn't, but at least Ryan's cultured mistakenly. Sorry, Haas, you were saying?
Yeah, and that's pretty much the standard build for a soldier.
Soldier, everything's in the stick.
Everything's in dex.
Yeah, so. We said we need a pilot. We said you're going to be in our up and coming show, the Foul Play Podcast, where we get to play evil characters in Pathfinder's Hell Vengeance, and you got to get used to the cast and crew now. So we've been sort of short stopping, cameoing you in an overfull cast already. Well, if Frank hasn't leveled, and before we talk to our mysterious leader, well, I don't know, Rahul.
Mysterious. I'm an open book.
Okay, so care to talk about how you might have leveled?
Well, I spent most of my time doing, lying and convincing people to see things from my perspective. So that led to naturally another increase to my noble level.
Okay.
Standard stuff, base attack bonus. I got a couple stats to chuck in there. I got a little sexier, a little healthier.
Oh, yeah. Did anyone talk about their stat level bonuses? Jay did. Okay, sorry. He said it so seamlessly, I kind of missed it. Sorry. But go on, Sexy.
And, when I got my nest egg from the housing project back with my ex-wife, she also sent along my personal manservant, Alonzo.
Alonzo. Do tell. This is like a leadership feat or a talent? How are we getting our hands on an extra cast member? Because that's all we need.
It is a talent. The Loyal Protector talent tree. So now, apparently, I seem to inspire loyalty from at least one person around me.
You're untrustworthy as fuck, so why should anybody be loyal to you?
Hello, Aiden Willems. We'll get to you. We'll get to you in a minute, but it sounds like your mic is not getting picked up properly because you sound echoey and terrible.
Fix it
now. Sorry, you were saying there? That's bad.
So yeah, my personal manservant has come along. Okay. Alonzo. He is a very much utilitarian ally to myself. I use him to, look up stuff on the HoloNet, maybe even assist me a little bit in combat.
Okay.
Wash my sheets, wash my shorts, polish the stormtrooper pinstripes so they're always nice and shiny.
What?
He fields my calls.
Oh, that
love to me.
He plays his head in my lap, just strokes my hair, tells me I'm pretty. Oh God, that's good. Sorry, I was not expecting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Alonzo, huh? Okay, so you have a manservant.
Indeed, I do.
And have you bankrolled at all?
Of course, I have. It was brought to me in person by Alonzo.
Oh, it's your credits. So, any other surprises for leveling you, Matt?
Nah, the usual. Got a little bit better with the pistol in my hand, just slightly.
Okay.
And of course, naturally, as I evolve, so do my skills.
So everything goes up, and stats go into charisma and what?
Charisma and constitution.
That's good, considering you're a noble and get like, what, 4 hit points every level because we're going with the static DOD.
And that's what I got.
And that's all you.
That's, my reflex took a step up. My fortitude took a step up. My will took a step up. To the usuals.
Okay. I'm feeling it. All right. So, going backwards really quick. Jay, to recap, what stats went up?
That would be intelligence and dexterity.
Okay. And Merrick?
Dexterity and constitution.
Okay. Before we get to Poser, everyone's favorite Jedi, let's sneak a peek at Old Man's Inn. Mr. Hamilton.
Yes.
Are you ready to converse?
I am, yeah.
And are you ready to tell us what you possibly might like to do with your character upon reaching 4th? Now, technically I haven't dropped the bomb for you to become 4th, but you know what? When you guys level and then you'll probably do it before they hit 5th, so what are your prospects? What are you looking into besides retirement or leaving this crew?
Right. I still had my eye on staying scout, so I was going to stick that way. I was going to add Dex and Int when I get that way. Maybe put some points in galactic lore, that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
I don't think I get a feat or a talent yet, so yeah. I mean, it's not terribly exciting for me. I was just going to stick with the same old.
All right.
I don't have financial backers like some people, or
yeah, I know.
And tech hardware or Jedi skills.
We're gonna make a very special phone call as soon as I get the thumbs up from my men abroad in ski masks that their hostage is ready to talk. When I get that thumbs up, we'll switch to talking about spending all their money. But for right now, how about we jump to Poser, everyone's favorite Jedi? If you can really call yourself that. I mean, have he really done anything Jedi-ish? I mean, he pisses, he moans, he plays guitar, he squishes some brains. I mean, we're kind of sure there's a few Force users on the line pinging at him and calling for help or something. And what does he do? Sits in a locker room, kissing his boo-boos, going, I don't. This doesn't seem very Jedi-like for me. So I'm wondering if you're taking this time to maybe branch out into a different class. No? What have you done in 4th level, Mr. Willems?
So 4th level, I took skill focus, use the Force as my feat.
All right. Well, you have been using the Force instead of using your skill checks a lot in the last 2 levels. So I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that.
As for what 2 attributes I put my points into, I honestly can't remember because I did that.
Well, my guess would be Wisdom and Charisma are the 2 go-to for Force users, unless you're going to up your Strength and actually maybe
what
or Strength, in case you actually try to hit something with that axe. I'm just saying, lightsaber might come on the way.
I think it was Wisdom and Charisma. So
Wisdom will give you more when the bonuses turn over, the plus to Wisdom, not the score. Not only will it put the dark side further away, because that's coming. When you take the Force training feat, it will give you extra powers, extra cards as it were to play. The Charisma, if you don't know, listening audience, every time he makes a use the Force roll, it runs off of Charisma. So there's using the Force, and then there's having the stack of powers, and that's why he's padding those 2. No Strength, no lightsaber, no pass go, no collect 200 credits. What else have you got? That's it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get much at 4th. It's a feat.
No. Okay, the bonus feat attribute, no talent, no. You're like a big hitting 10, so you get like probably 7 hit points added there.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're missing something here. I'm just checking my chat log here, and we've got slicing in the outlaw tech talent trees. Dr. Leth.
We had gone over this. That was the gimmick. That is specifically the slicer talent tree.
I see. They're just asking you questions. I'm trying to stay relevant with too many things here. That's what happens when you try to run tech instead of getting a guy. In the virtual world, Matt Sky gets a manservant. In the real world, I'm trying to run a podcast network, air a podcast, DM it, GM it, and run the tech. If only there was someone out there with some technical knowledge that could help me. Well, maybe
you should have married into a rich family. I'm just saying.
Funny you should say that. We won't get into that.
Government grants help as well.
Yeah. Okay, so did I miss anyone? Everyone's talked about stats. Everyone's talked about did their base attack go up. Aiden's obviously does. He's a combat character. So Frank and Haas are talking about their dream of becoming 4th level. So I'd like to talk about leveling the ship. You have money, the Gatrock 720 is prevalent in the clone right up into the Rebellion era, from what I hear. And it's an all-around decent ship, but it has some serious, not drawbacks, but it has some serious advantages for a small crew, or this is a good starter ship. And it has some very cool things you can do to upgrade it, but it also has some disadvantages. So I'm curious, before I'm forced to make a phone call, and I promised him he and his family would be safe from our mercenaries, only you guys can keep this from happening. Starting with Rahal and Dr. Leth, what do you know about your own ship? What do you know about its carrying capacity? What can you tell us about its upgrades, its engines, where it's lacking, where it has an advantage, its guns? Can you tell us anything? Did you guys just grab the first fish ship that was shiny because the fish people told you what do its job? I mean, Frank already succumbed to the ghillie suit thing.
I took the word of my man Merrick. He said it was a good ship. It's a good ship. We ain't crashed. That's all I know.
Okay, this is really making me want to pick up the phone. Dr. Leth?
I did do quite a bit of research before I gave the okay for this specific ship.
And what caught your eye in the advantage world?
Mostly it was the general base stats for the ship were actually quite high for the price point that we were looking for, and it fit quite well there. The other thing was that, one, it would fit our specific crew, and it did have enough storage for what... I believe at the time, Rahal was speaking of looking for a ship with enough storage that we could bring back any particular hulls that we happen to find. That was one of the reasons.
Okay. But
I do know that I made quite a bit of I did make I believe it was a knowledge technology check at the time, and it's likely quite high, but I do not remember specifically how well that particular roll went.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're blowing a lot of smoke. Okay, can anyone save this train? No, Frank's on the outside. Merrick, he mentioned you. What can you tell me about the Katrak? Why is it party friendly for a low level party? Was there something about this giant sea turtle besides the awesome name? Because you guys were more interested in the lore, the Greek lore of the name, than the actual stats on the ship.
Double loading docks, extra storage space, one space partially converted over to med bay. Can be flown with only one person. 2 people allows for double checks on pilots, and has still one escape pod in functional use.
Okay, I want you to take up your targeting scope, which is obviously off as like a teleprompter right now because you're reading right off of a page. Mary, was there anything? Everyone's Googling the grab. That's what I remember.
I know my ship. When I look at pieces of technology,
I know my ship.
What?
Right,
You didn't keep brochure?
What kind of man knows keep brochure? It was free. Look, you walk on table, take brochure.
All right.
Yeah.
Make quite a bit of spend quite a bit of time on this particular decision.
Frank? Old Man's Inn. Have you got anything about this ship that you like or we thought was a good idea?
Well, like they were saying, I like the fact that it can be flown by one pilot.
Finally, thank you. Finally a gaming reason to we don't need 6 people to make the hamster wheel go.
Right? It's got enough cargo capacity that if we want to do a little side hustle to grab some things, move from point A to point B, we can earn a little money on the little cred on the side, pay for gas and whatnot.
Okay.
It seemed pretty sensible.
All right. But I'm not completely convinced. Poser? No? Anything? How about our pilot? Haas, technically this was your character's ship that you woke up and there's new owners.
Yeah, technically that's exactly what happened.
Now I know, Joe, your knowledge relies mostly on the D20 Star Wars system that we played back in the day under Doug and the D6 Star Wars, but a ship is a ship is a ship. And no, not that we ever came near a Gatrak back in the day. You've seen this ship. And as someone that I know that enjoys reading the books cover to cover and is interested in not min-maxing so much as the tactical knowledge and the actual makeup of a character or the makeup of a ship, the thought and the art that's gone into it, is there anything that struck you about this besides easily maintained in space by a single pilot? The duality of splitting your cargo space.
Yeah, but it's mostly the single pilot, because when it comes to gaming mechanics, then you can have your skilled pilot do all your checks for you for everything, and that way it's on one roll instead of splitting your rolls.
That's true. Now, I'm assuming a co-pilot would just aid another. I remember being on a YT 1300, and we had a guy in a gun, he's happy. Another guy in a gun, he's happy. Your co-pilot, yeah, your pilot, yeah, and a guy on systems who was moving deflector shields. And our Jedi. standing there with a fire extinguisher.
yeah. Back in the day, making sure that the shields were good, even though the ship didn't have shields. But
Yep. Everyone forgot we had an engineer in the back, like that's on fire and trying to fix the engine, or like modifying and jerry rigging, because that was a thing. Jerry rig was the big thing. Anything else?
No, it's just tons of storage.
Okay.
Illegal storage, obviously, but
now I understand this is a ship that you can actually, if you go up in the numbers from the 720, or can be modified, you could turn this into a stretch limo and actually like stretch out the midsection. I was recently listening, actually before we get into that, Poser, anything to add with you and your fire extinguisher? We did mention Jelly.
I know. I mean, everyone seems to be a better mechanic than me, so I'm just kind of chilling, working on the bikes.
Okay, all right. Bikes is your thing, space travel not so much. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to make this call. Now, for those of you that are watching the video feed of this later for Twitch or YouTube, can see that this is a joke. What is about to happen is a parody joke. This is not happening in real time. But force me to make that phone call. All right. And just give me a second here. Hello, Sven. Yeah. No. It's go time. Well, you should have let them go. Like, I told you, expect a call around this time if we needed this information from them. I mean, aren't you rotating captives through the bathroom? You're feeding them, right? Are you hydrating them? It's really hot outside. Like, it's a really hot summer. I mean, up here in Canada. Okay. Well, that's fine. Yes, I know you're getting paid overtime. No, it's fine. Just put them on. Okay. Doug, Mr. Baldwin, can you hear me?
Help? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Baldwin. I'm not the authorities. I'm not a hostage negotiator. I'm actually the captor's employer, one could say. And I must apologize that the last time this happened, though I have rotated the mercenaries, even though they're under ski mask, you just can't have the same guys knowing the same stuff about you, that this might never happen again to your family. I'm afraid my cast members have forced my hand. And today we'd like to pick your brain, as long as you don't mind a high caliber pistol beside it, giving you a little incentive, about the Star Wars Saga Edition's version of the Gatroc 720 Light Freighter. Now, the questions we ask you, okay, there's no right and wrong answer. We would like an honest opinion. And if you satisfy the pros as well as the cons, don't worry about being negative about the ship. This is sort of an open discussion. Then I promise you, your family will be returned sooner than later, and no harm will come to you or them.
You promise?
I promise. This is what happened last time. Didn't I promise you they'd be returned and then you safely, went with your life? I'm assuming you're in therapy.
A phone call.
I'm assuming you're in therapy now, but anyway, Doug, I'm on the clock here, and Sven's got like 7 bullets in the chamber, and you only have a small family. So to move things along, the Gatroc, we talked about a couple of things. What can you tell us about its engines? They never touched on its firing capacity, its guns, some of the I don't want to say price points, but the ship has 3 points for, what do you call it, expanding or upgrading before you actually have to sacrifice cargo space. Can you please tell me, for the sake of your own family, that you can help us with this?
Very good ship. Very good to be in it.
Wow. Doug, sorry, you're breaking up terribly. You're not messing with me, are you? You realize your family and your own life is in danger, and if you're dicking around with me, I'm going to have to end this call, and this is not going to end well for you.
Well, I hope. Is this any better, sir?
He's back. Okay, so I'm terribly sorry to put you under duress, and as well to interrupt your train of thought about the 720.
Yes, it's an excellent ship. You guys are very lucky to have it to be used. It's not as fast as some of the freighters out there that might get a little bit more attention and might not look quite as ridiculous as this one does. But the the armament in the stock version is pretty crap. So you don't want to get caught out in space by one of the Imperial cruisers checking for taxes and looking for smugglers. Trick it out a little bit.
Well, there you go. I mean, you heard it there first. Like, not to mention those key points that I heard clearly, but I'm afraid, guys, if the cast members couldn't hear Doug, then you're on your own. Sven, you know what? I think he's amused and satisfied enough about covering a few of the minor points. So I think it's a good idea that we bid Doug adieu and let him get back to his life. And by all means, man, like, let the guy and his family use the bathroom and give them a bottle of water. I mean, we're professionals here, you know? Victims that...
Help him being depressed!
Victims that no one can hear you, Doug. No one can help you but me. Victims that don't come out the other end it's just bad for business. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're trying to make a statement, an execution statement. Then, but anyway, back to the show. So we've talked about the actual ship. We've talked about the characters leveling, and we've talked about Ghost Merrick, who, I'll be kind, you level, and unfortunately that out-of-body experience is a little vague. You do I'll be nice enough to say that you remember this and you can talk about it in character from here forward, and possibly ensure the spirituality of the Force and those doubters that there might be an afterlife, or just a terrible limbo where you're left on a rock. I think that's that pretty much wraps it up for our bonus episode of us leveling, and we'll get back to the show, and we'll keep the feed running. We'll keep the video up, and but we're going to cap an episode right here, and we will see you next time on We Shot First.